Now, as already informed to you at the beginning of the course, when we started the course, we decided not to cover all things in the all modules so as to keep the things simple. And then when we substantially cover most of the things, few remaining things in the all modules which are not that way very difficult, but what was skipped, something which is not too simple, and most important is, even if that is not told, that doesn't have any impact on the next module learning, which means those things which do not necessarily form part of sequential learning and some not so simple were skipped so as to keep the things simpler. This is something which I believe a proper approach. Many may agree or may not agree. So we started the things with voltage source. In general also, except a few things, we always find voltage source as a natural source, may it be electrochemical cell for DC, may it be solar cell, may it be electromagnetic generator when we think of generating AC. So, current source as such is not observed to be a primary source in general. So, I am also sure that till this is the reason till 12th or maybe even the first year, the concept of current source was not learned by you, but still we could go through all electrical circuitry. But sometimes in modeling, it is better to have current source that you might be finding in ECAR or somewhere else. So from that point of view, a current source is defined, and based on that current source, few other remaining things are there. It is quite simple, and in fact, actually there is no need to spend much time, since our concepts of voltage source and associated things are very clear. The current source would be a job of what we can say a very small session. So what is an ideal voltage source? It was told to you. An ideal voltage source is that source which maintains a fixed voltage across it irrespective of anything. Means even if you short the ideal source, still it is expected that it should maintain same voltage, means it should give infinite current. So a voltage source of 5 volts when shorted should deliver infinite current. Voltage source of 3 volts also should deliver infinite current. Only thing is that infinity may be lesser than 5 volt infinity, means the short circuit current of an ideal voltage source is infinite, and short circuit current of an ideal voltage source of 5 volts is larger than short circuit current of ideal voltage source of 3 volts. But both the things being just imaginations, there is no question of proving it, because infinity happening of any real life parameter is impossible. So that ideal voltage source is not available. Every voltage source comes up with a limitation of how much current it can deliver, and based on that there is a concept of or what we can say as current limiting resistor, which is in series with the voltage source, and that is called as internal resistance Vs and Rs. So a practical voltage source is a non-separable combination of an ideal voltage source and a very small resistance in series. Ideally 0, but in practice it is very small, in order of few ohms or less than 1 ohm also. Now what is, just by applying same analogy, now it is abstract level work, that current source may come in nature or it needs to be converted. So what is an ideal current source? An ideal current source is something shown by a symbol. Voltage source is shown by a symbol like this. An ideal current source is shown by a symbol I, and its value is put as say 1 ampere, or let us why 1? Let us say 2 ampere. So a 2 amperes of ideal current source. What does it mean? What does it require? It requires that it should always make 2 amperes of current to flow from this, and it should fetch that much current from this. So depending upon the load resistance, even if it is disconnected, it is infinite load resistance. This not connected means ideal voltage source fails to comply short circuit condition, because to maintain 5 volts through zero resistance it has to deliver infinite current. Similarly, ideal current source fails to satisfy open circuit condition, because to maintain 2 amperes of current through this infinite value of load resistance, means infinite resistance, open circuit, what will go, if this resistance is R, what would voltage develop across it? Voltage, if this was not there, then for a voltage an ideal constant voltage source V will produce a current V by R, and if R is short circuit, it will lead to infinity, and this can't happen, so it is limited by a small resistance in series. Like that, if I is the ideal current source, means it must a unit having 2 terminals, it has to deliver infinite current. It has to deliver constant current irrespective of anything. So if the value of current source is 2 ampere, the resistance connected across it is R, then voltage across the source would be 2R. For constant voltage source, voltage V, resistance R, current V by R. If R is 0, current will lead to infinity, which can't happen, so it is limited. Similarly here, if I is 2, R is here, so voltage is 2R, and if R is infinite voltage will get developed across the ideal current source. Infinity cannot happen, therefore that is limited by a parallel resistance, that is internal resistance, which may be of very high value. So in any case say 100 ohm. So now you may connect something. When you connect something, say 1 ohm, major current will flow through this and very less current will flow through this. If you short it, all current will flow through this. So an ideal current source maintains fixed current across its terminals, which cannot satisfy no load or open circuit condition or infinite load resistance condition. Therefore, an ideal current source cannot exist. What exists is the infinity must be limited to a finite value. That is done by, this is internal resistance. So a practical current source is modeled as an ideal current source and a non-separable parallel resistance R, which is of large value. So in general, it is very much possible for you to convert the in a practical voltage source, a practical voltage source V and its internal resistance R, a practical voltage source V and internal resistance R gets converted into a practical current source same are in parallel and the current is V by R. So both of these circuits are equivalent. A practical voltage source of V volts with internal resistance of R ohms gets converted into a practical current source of current V by R and internal resistance in parallel of R. So this is ideal voltage source, it means this you can't separate. A practical voltage source is a non-separable combination of ideal voltage source and an internal resistance in series with it. A practical current source is a non-separable combination of an ideal current source and a resistance which is non-separable in parallel with it. Suppose if, so from this you can come out like this. Suppose if this is given to you, that the current is I and a practical current source that gets converted into a practical voltage source with this as R and this as I into R. Is it clear? So ideal current source cannot exist. Whatever exists is ideal current source with non-separable resistance of R in parallel with it. Ideal current source or even practical current sources we don't get obviously in case of generators. So the current source is a model which is used to analyze some other circuits. Therefore, because of that, I did not introduce it at the beginning. Even you might have not observed it till your, what we can say, education of electrical engineering till 12th or even in the first year. That is one thing which is there. In fact, even if it is skipped, that doesn't matter much, but it's part of the syllabus, and whenever in GATE examination you will get questions on it, or if somebody else asks you what is the current source and if you say that I don't know, then they will ridicule me and not you. So is it clear? What is if a current source will always source fixed current out of it. So based on that you may find the means current source, ideal current source doesn't exist, ideal voltage source doesn't exist, but I have taught you that a regulated voltage source and a regulated current source can exist. So a regulated voltage source means what? Till some limit the voltage will be constant, it will deliver that voltage, and after that it can't deliver. Means the unregulated voltage, the characteristic of an ideal voltage source is like this: current and voltage, ideal voltage source. A practical voltage source characteristic is like this, and a regulated voltage, by using this practical voltage source you can construct a regulated voltage source like this. Is up to this it will remain stable, and it goes down like this, which you might have learned in general regulator or some other regulators. So this is when you this semester you could not perform experiment, but in first year you might have performed few experiments using power supply. So that power supply, what you get is a voltage source which is neither completely ideal nor completely practical, but which is regulated, means it is as good as ideal within some limits. Therefore in the book, when you find the problems, find out the current. So you must have solved these problems many times, maybe in assignments, maybe in mid-sem like this. So these voltage sources which are given 5 volts, 10 volts and 5 ohm, 10 ohm, 5 ohm. Here these are assumed to be power supplies which give sufficient enough current so that voltage 5 volt is maintained. If this is too less, if current demand is too more, then it doesn't look good, it doesn't work good. So I would like to clarify. First I will tell you the point of confusion and then I will explain how it is not confusion but how is the clarity. मराठीत सांगतो, आयडियल व्होल्टेज सोर्स असत नाही, प्रॅक्टिकल व्होल्टेज सोर्स असतो. पण जेव्हा तुम्हाला एक्झाम्पल विचारलं जातं, मग तुम्ही असं मला एक्झाम्पल आम्हाला आयडियल नसलेलं का विचारता, तर त्या केसमध्ये पॉवर सप्लाय वापरतो. बॅटरी आयडियल व्होल्टेज सोर्स असतच नाही. बॅटरी सेल, तुम्ही जो बॅटरी सेल आणला तो प्रॅक्टिकल व्होल्टेज सोर्स झाला. आयडियल व्होल्टेज सोर्स असत नाही, बॅटरी सेल आणला तो प्रॅक्टिकल व्होल्टेज सोर्स झाला. त्याच्या अक्रॉस व्होल्टेज कंटिन्युअस, जसा तुम्ही तिथनं करंट काढता व्होल्टेज कमी होत जातं. आणि तुम्ही लॅबोरेटरीमध्ये जो पॉवर सप्लाय वापरता, डीसी पॉवर सप्लाय, तो डीसी पॉवर सप्लाय रेग्युलेटेड पॉवर सप्लाय असतो. तो बऱ्यापैकी काळ त्यातनं किती जरी करंट घेतला ते व्होल्टेज कॉन्स्टंट राहतं आणि एका लिमिट नंतर ते कमी येतं. मग जर आपण ह्या रेंजमध्ये तो वापरला तर ह्या रेंजमध्ये रेग्युलेटेड पॉवर सप्लाय हा आयडियल व्होल्टेज सोर्स सारखा असतो आणि हे इथं अपेक्षित आहे. सिमिलरली if you use ideal voltage source and if you use it in the given range, in that case it is quite possible for you to treat it as a ideal voltage source. A regulated power supply can be used as a regulated power supply can be used as an ideal voltage source. Similarly, it will also, when this is reached, that time what happens is, now for an ideal current source, for an ideal current source, what we must have? For an ideal current source, it should give a constant it should give a constant current irrespective of. Now, if I plot I and V, it should give me a constant voltage. It should give me a constant current. I think there is no need. It is better to plot it in reverse manner. So for an ideal constant current source, the voltage is here, current is here, this quadrant we forget. So I should get a constant current. I should get a constant current, and when load increases, when load resistance increases, voltage should increase like this. So similarly, you can calibrate the regulated power supply. You can calibrate regulated power supply by making a short circuit. So you have not seen the power supply, but power supply there is voltmeter and there is ammeter on the right hand side. If you make short, in that case what will happen is voltage will come to 0 and current will increase. So that current you can fix. So that short circuit current and open circuit voltage. So it is possible that when you reach the limit, means the regulated power supply acts as ideal constant voltage source up to certain extent. Means if load current expected is not beyond a limit, it acts as a ideal constant voltage source. And it also acts as an ideal constant current source if load voltage required is not beyond certain value. So in that case it acts as a constant current source. So right now since experiment can't be done, it can't be fully explained, but it is possible to construct a regulated constant current source. And when in the examples a current source is shown to you, even though ideal current source doesn't exist, it is shown in the example and you do all calculations assuming it to be ideal. Why? Because a regulated constant current source which works nicely within some limits is possible. मराठीत सांगतो, आयडियल कॉन्स्टंट व्होल्टेज सोर्स आणि आयडियल कॉन्स्टंट करंट सोर्स असत नाहीत. एक्झाम्पल मध्ये आपण ते जे विचारलं जातं ते काही आयडियल अशक्य असलं विचारलं जात नाही, तर काही लिमिटेड कंडिशन मध्ये आयडियल कॉन्स्टंट व्होल्टेज सारखा चालेल असा किंवा आयडियल कॉन्स्टंट करंट सोर्स सारखा चालेल असा व्होल्टेज सोर्स किंवा करंट सोर्स तयार करता येतो. that is called as regulated source. So regulated practical source is something completely different from ideal source. What is regulated source? Regulated source is like an ideal source up to certain limit. काही लिमिट पर्यंत तो आयडियल सारखा वागतो, तिथनं आयडियल सारखा वागायला बंद करतो. So that is the thing with which the things are asked in the example. So we will solve few examples on using current source. Then we define one thing, that is Norton's theorem. So that will finish up the what we can say discussion remaining in the first module. So a very simple example I will take. 1 ampere, 5 ohm, 10 ohm, 5 ohm, 10 volt. Calculate R. Calculate R. So what will the procedure to calculate this current? This is I. So it is very simple now. The first way with which we solve is Kirchhoff's laws. So what is this current? 1 ampere. So what is this current? 1 ampere. So at this node, if I apply Kirchhoff's law, this is I, this is 1. So what this must be? I minus 1. 1 ampere, I amperes, I minus 1 ampere. So you assume directions. Current incoming equal to current outgoing. 1 plus I minus 1 is I. So 1, 1, I minus 1, I, and now you apply Kirchhoff's node law. Remember, very important thing is when we apply Kirchhoff's node law, in that loop no current source should come, because voltage across current source can be anything. So in Kirchhoff's mesh law, when we apply Kirchhoff's mesh law, in that loop no current source should come. So what is mesh law? Voltage source equal to voltage drop, and no current source should come in between. So now it is quite simple. This 10 volt is equal to this voltage, 10 into I minus 1 plus 5I. So 10 volts is equal to 10I minus 10 plus 5I. So 10 comes on this side, 20 is equal to 15I. So I is equal to 20 by 15 or 4 by 3. So this is the manner in which we deal current sources. Then in superposition theorem, what we do? In superposition theorem, we allow one source at a time and replace other sources by their internal impedances. If it is ideal source, then internal impedance is 0 for voltage source, infinity for current source. So if actual ideal sources are shown in the circuit, then when we apply superposition theorem, that time we short the voltage source and open the current. Means we use one source at a time, and for the remaining sources, if these are voltage sources, we short them. If these are current sources, we open them. So this is the manner in which we solve the problems which consist of current sources by using Kirchhoff's laws, by using superposition theorem. Then there is one more theorem which we discussed already, that is Thevenin's theorem. So what Thevenin's tells us? Thevenin's tells us to look at 2 points as if these are comprised of open circuit voltage or some ideal. Thevenin tells us to look towards any 2 points as an ideal voltage source plus a series resistance. What is the voltage source? That voltage source is open circuit voltage, and what is that series resistance? That series resistance is open circuit voltage upon short circuit current. That series resistance is open circuit voltage upon short circuit current. So we reduce any circuit into its Thevenin sequence circuit by this method, VTH and RTH. So what Norton tells, so by Thevenin's theorem we convert any given complex, means the circuit may consist of any voltage sources, any resistances, any current sources. I look towards them as a voltage source in series with some resistance. The voltage is calculated by open circuit voltage, the resistance is calculated by open circuit voltage upon short circuit current. Or that is the standard way. There is alternative way to compute RTH. RTH is computed as equivalent resistance between 2 points by short circuiting the voltage sources and open circuiting the current sources, if any. Now so what Thevenin tells us? Thevenin tells us to look as a ideal voltage source plus a series resistance, means a practical voltage source. Thevenin told me to look to the circuit as practical voltage source. I also know that the practical voltage source can be looked as a practical current source by simply having an equivalent current source and same resistance. What is the current source? That current source is VTH upon RTH, and it is same as RTH. So if I know the Thevenin sequence circuit, this is called as Norton sequence circuit. Means Thevenin tells me to look towards 2 points as a practical voltage source whose voltage is given by open circuit voltage and whose resistance is given by open circuit voltage upon short circuit current. Or same can be found by equivalent resistance between the 2 points by replacing the source, voltage source by short and current source by open. So that is RTH. RTH you can find by 2 ways: open circuit voltage upon short circuit current, or equivalent resistance by short circuiting the voltage sources and open circuiting the current sources. So that RTH, VTH, RTH, what Norton tells me is to look it as a practical current source whose current is given by IN, and whose resistance is given by RN. What is IN? IN is VTH upon RTH. What is VTH? What is RTH? RTH is open circuit voltage upon short circuit current. So what is VTH? VTH was V open circuit. What is RTH? RTH was V open circuit upon I short circuit. So V open circuit upon I short circuit is I short circuit. So VTH upon RTH is called as IN. So it is short circuit current. And what is RN? RN is again open circuit voltage upon short circuit current, or RN and RTH are same, that is the resistance computed by replacing voltage sources by short and current sources by open. So मराठीत सांगतो, जसं थेवेनिन्स सर्किट मध्ये मी कुठल्याही 2 पॉइंट मध्ये एक प्रॅक्टिकल व्होल्टेज सोर्स बघतो ज्याचं व्होल्टेज हे ओपन सर्किट व्होल्टेज असतं आणि ज्याचा इंटरनल रेजिस्टन्स हा ओपन सर्किट व्होल्टेज अपॉन शॉर्ट सर्किट करंट असतो, किंवा त्या 2 पॉइंट मधला रेजिस्टन्स इफेक्टिव्ह रेजिस्टन्स की मी जो मोजू शकतो, कॅल्क्युलेट करू शकतो व्होल्टेज सोर्सेस शॉर्ट करून करंट सोर्स ओपन करून. सो थेवेनिन्स इक्विव्हॅलेंट व्होल्टेज इज ओपन सर्किट व्होल्टेज. Thevenin's equivalent resistance is either open circuit voltage upon short circuit current or effective resistance between 2 points which is measured by replacing all sources, voltage sources by short, current sources by open, or all sources by their internal resistances. तसं नॉर्टन्स थिअरम काय सांगतं? नॉर्टन्स थिअरम मला कुठल्याही दोन पॉइंट मध्ये एक प्रॅक्टिकल व्होल्टेज सोर्स आहे असं गृहीत धरतं. त्या प्रॅक्टिकल व्होल्टेज सोर्सचा करंट असतो शॉर्ट सर्किट करंट आणि पॅरलल रेजिस्टन्स असतो ओपन सर्किट व्होल्टेज अपॉन शॉर्ट सर्किट करंट, किंवा त्या दोन पॉइंट मला रेजिस्टन्स व्होल्टेज सोर्सेस शॉर्टनं आणि करंट सोर्सेस ओपन सर्किटनं रिप्लेस करता येतो तो इफेक्टिव्ह रेजिस्टन्स. सो Norton's equivalent circuit and Thevenin's equivalent circuit, resistance is same. It is in series with Thevenin's circuit. It is in parallel with Norton's circuit. Open circuit voltage is Thevenin's voltage. Short circuit current is Norton's current. So this is Norton's equivalent circuit. I will tell you now 1-2 examples of converting it into Thevenin's model, Norton's model, and in the model also now. In the example also, I can include current sources. We had not discussed current sources, so that time, as we had not discussed current sources, we did not even discuss Norton's theorem. We again take very simple examples. So calculate Thevenin's equivalent circuit and Norton's equivalent circuit between points A and point B. So how do we calculate now? It is very simple. Oh, what is voltage right now here that is to be computed? So that is 10 volt. We take it to be VTH. So what should be there? 10 volt. So what this current is, and this is 1 ampere. So this is 1 ampere. So this current is 1 ampere. This voltage is 5 volts. This current is 1 ampere. This voltage is 5 volt. So same current must flow like this. This is 1 ampere. It is open, nothing here. So because of Kirchhoff's law, same will flow here. So this is 1 ampere. So VTH minus 10 volts upon 10 is equal to 1 ampere. This current. So VTH is equal to 20 volts. VTH is equal to 20 volts. And what is now short circuit current? If I short this, in that case, this is 1 ampere current. This is 1 ampere current. This voltage will become now 0. So this 1 ampere and this 10 volt, 10 ohm, this 1 ampere. So in that case, what will happen? So this 1 ampere, this is current source, so 1 ampere. This voltage will be 0. So 10 volt minus 0 upon 10, so this 1 ampere. 1 ampere, 1 ampere. ISC would be 2 amperes. So RTH would be equal to 10 ohm. RTH would be equal to 10 ohm. So effective circuit would be 10 volt. Sorry. 20 volt, 10 ohm is Thevenin's equivalent circuit. And what is Norton's equivalent circuit? Short circuit current is 2 amperes. And the resistance is 10 ohms. So this is Thevenin's circuit, is Norton's circuit. Now this Thevenin's resistance or Norton's resistance, you can find an alternative way. Don't go for short circuit current, go for open circuit voltage VTH Means sometimes finding short circuit current is somewhat difficult. So there is alternative technique. Open circuit voltage you can find out, and this resistance you can find out by what you look between 2 points. That time you have to replace this by short and replace this by open. So what is the resistance between these 2 points? It is open, this doesn't come. So between these 2 points only 10 ohm resistance comes. So 10 ohm resistance. So I once again repeat, in Thevenin's and Norton's theorems, things to be computed are open circuit voltage is Thevenin's voltage, short circuit current is Norton's current, open circuit voltage upon short circuit current is Thevenin's resistance as well as Norton's resistance. मराठीत सांगतो. ओपन सर्किट व्होल्टेज काढायचं ते थेवेनिन्स व्होल्टेज झालं, शॉर्ट सर्किट करंट काढायचं नॉर्टन्स करंट झाला, ओपन सर्किट व्होल्टेज अपॉन शॉर्ट सर्किट करंट हा रेझिस्टन्स झाला, तोच थेवेनिन्स रेझिस्टन्स असतो सिरीज मध्ये थेवेनिन्स व्होल्टेज सोर्सच्या आणि तोच रेझिस्टन्स असतो नॉर्टन करंट सोर्सच्या पॅरलल मध्ये. सो VTH in series with RTH is Thevenin's circuit, IN parallel with RN is Norton circuit, VTH is open circuit voltage, IN is short circuit current, and RTH and RN are same. It is open circuit voltage upon short circuit current, or it is computed by computing actual resistance, calculating actual resistance by replacing all sources by their internal impedances, that is by short circuiting voltage source and open circuiting current source. You can compute the equivalent resistance, Thevenin's equivalent resistance as well as Norton's equivalent resistance. So that is simple method. So what you can do, whether it is Thevenin's circuit or Norton's circuit, compute effective resistance, that is R, which is same, which is RTH in series with VTH in Thevenin's circuit, and that R is RN in parallel with IN in Norton's circuit. So finding short circuit current is somewhat difficult. So the better way to find both Thevenin's circuit and Norton's circuit are compute R, which is very easy. Then compute open circuit voltage, that is easy. Then if Thevenin's equivalent circuit is R, then VTH and your R as RTH is Thevenin's circuit. And if Norton's circuit is R, then divide VTH, that is open circuit voltage, by your resistance, that is IN. So IN you can find short circuit current. If you think that finding short circuit current is somewhat difficult, then you can use this alternative approach also. So this is something which was a major thing which we had kept as a, what we can say, backlog, which completes the discussion of the first module. Then there is one more, which is again very simple thing, which was deferred because that is very simple. In fact, that will be finished in few minutes. That is maximum power transfer theorem. That is maximum power transfer theorem. That time, why was it deferred? Because the concept of power was not discussed that time. So, if there is a practical voltage source V and its RS, Vs is voltage, Rs is source resistance, and RL is load resistance, then how much a voltage source Vs, a series resistance Rs, a load resistance RL, how much power will be dissipated in RL and when that will be maximum. So power dissipated in resistance is, what is voltage? Vs, Rs. So power is IL square RL. What is IL? IL is Vs upon Rs plus RL square into RL. Power is, it is very simple. Actually, it is somewhat maybe NTS state level exam equivalent. So no major theme, just very logical. So what is power dissipated now? Power dissipated now would be Vs square RL upon Rs square plus 2Rs RL plus RL square plus RL square plus RL square. Now the question is when this will be maximum. When this will be maximum. So source is fixed. Source is fixed. What is variable? RL is variable. So for given source, when you change the load, the power dissipated, if RL is 0, what will happen? If RL is 0, in that case, numerator will become 0, numerator will become 0, and the power dissipated will be 0. If RL is infinity, open circuit, in that case, naturally no power will be dissipated. In short circuit, the power will be dissipated entirely in Rs. In open circuit, no current, so no power. So if RL is infinity, this is also infinity, it is of higher order infinity, it is RL, so denominator will be infinity. Means now if I divide by this RL in the denominator, so this becomes Rs square upon RL plus Rs plus 2Rs plus RL. This becomes Vs square upon Rs square upon RL plus 2Rs plus RL. So now what will happen? It's quite simple. If RL is 0, this term will become infinity, so power will be 0. If RL is 0, yes, this term will become infinity, power will be 0. If RL is infinity, in that case what will happen? If RL is infinity, this term will become 0, this will be becoming meaningless because this is infinity, so the ratio will again be 0. So for RL 0, 0 power, for RL infinity, 0 power, means that the power will change as RL changes, and at some point it will become maximum. So when it will become maximum, now very interesting answer can be given. For what is power? Numerator is constant, denominator is variable. Variable with respect to what? RL. So when the denominator will reach minimum, that time maximum power will be transferred. So when denominator reaches minimum, how you can find that? It is your maxima and minima, that if we means the denominator expression, that is RL plus 2Rs plus Rs upon RL is the denominator. So when that will become 0, and it is what is fixed, Rs is fixed, what is variable? RL is variable. So if d by dRL of denominator is 0, that time this will reach its minima. Double derivative, there is no need, it can be maximum minima. Right now in those details we don't go. So its differentiation. So what is d by dl of denominator? D by dl of denominator 1 plus 0 plus Rs upon 1 upon RL. So what it comes out to be? Plus it is Rs square. Rs square upon, what is due to 1 upon x? Due to 1 upon x is minus 1 upon x square. So minus 1 upon RL square. Minus 1 upon RL square. RL square upon RL square, that must be 0. It must be 0. So this goes on the other side. So 1 is equal to Rs square upon RL square. So RL square is equal to Rs square is the condition at which the maximum power will be transferred. So what is RL? RL must be, now there are two things, RL must be, when this will be maintained, RL square is Rs square. So RL is plus minus Rs, but negative resistance is not possible. So right now there is no need to confuse, it's not the time to confuse. So at RL equal to Rs, maximum power is transferred. At RL equal to Rs, maximum power is transferred, and obviously the transferred power would be, if it is Rs, then the current would be Vs upon 2 Rs, Vs, Rs, Vs upon 2 Rs, and its square into Rs, that is equal to Vs square upon 4 Rs square into Rs. So that is Vs square upon 4 Rs is the power transfer. So maximum power, this is called as maximum power transfer theorem. Maximum power is transferred when load resistance is equal to source resistance and the transferred power is Vs square upon 4 Rs. So I think we finished few things which were kept deliberately pending. So I think that is more than enough now. So we can stop.